with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family, and we are delighted that you have welcomed us into your home. You know that we would love to hear from you, so send us an email with a question or a comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com and check us out on Facebook. We certainly want to wish you all a happy Memorial Day and thank every veteran out there, men and women, for their beautiful service to our country. And today, we're going to focus on honoring those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So our question for today's show is this: how may we remember and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice for us and the nation? And so here we are in this time of year. It seems like time is moving in rapid speed, and we have a lot going on in our country, but it is a time where it's always the last Monday in the month of May, where we stop as a nation and we express great gratitude and we memorialize the men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us individually, that we would have our country and our freedom, and also for our nation all over the world.
Well, so much celebrating going on, so much food, family gathering together. Do we even take a minute to stop, thank God, for our nation, for those who serve, for those who paid the ultimate price, and for their loved ones? And so that's what we're attempting to do here today. We can never do enough, especially for those that lost loved ones in the service of our nation, all the way back to the Civil War to modern times. And so we want to pray a prayer this Memorial Day. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, God of power and mercy, you destroy and put down earthly pride. Banish violence from our midst and wipe away our tears, that we may all deserve to be called your sons and daughters. Keep in your mercy those men and women who have died in the cause of freedom, and bring them safely into your kingdom of justice and peace. We ask this through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Certainly a prayer like that would go a long way, the least that we could do. I understand also, like 3 p.m. is a time for silence and prayer. That is the hour of divine mercy. So for whatever reason, that's they're placing flags, wreaths on graves of loved ones, those who've served. And so many expressions that can be made. And we always do a big Memorial Day thing with all of our family, but it's very patriotic Memorial Day.
It is.
You know, in terms of prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance, and discussing this, because you got to pass this on to your children so that they understand Memorial Day is not just about being off. It's about the freedom we do have to be off and to be safe, and the people who are paying the price for our freedom. Freedom isn't free.
And it's a day also where we give great gratitude for not just the men and women who have died, but now for their family members, right? Who now have to live their lives without their loved ones in their lives. Sons, daughters, mothers, fathers. And so that changes everything when we lose someone. And so we do, as a nation, we want to stop, we want to pause, and we want to be grateful, and we want to be a people who are grateful for our freedom and not abuse the freedoms that they have fought for.
And we're going to get to hear from a Gold Star family member, Adrienne Borland, speaking about her precious son, Kenneth, who paid the ultimate price in service to our nation. So a very special show today here on EWTN. We'll be right back. There's plenty more to come. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, the theme for today's show is how may we remember and honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for us and our nation. And the beautiful thing is, like, you might be off from work and celebrating with your family and friends, or watching a parade, or whatever it is that you're doing. We need to pause. We need to express gratitude and pray for the men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us and for our nation in a way, and we need to be mindful of also of the family members. A man or a woman may have died, but then the effect, the ripple effect of that on the remaining family members and all those that loved and held them.
We have the privilege today to speak with Adrienne Borland on the phone with us. She's the mother of fallen Air Force pilot Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth Borland, who passed in 2008 during the earthquake in Haiti. Actually, I think that's 2010, but she'll fill us in. I think it's 2010 in Haiti. And she's going to share with us the story of her son, Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth Borland. Adrienne, welcome to At Home with Jim and Joy. Blessings on you, your husband, your family, Kenneth's children, wife Peggy, your daughter. And so we just want to hear from you. Our prayers are with you, the masses of souls that have fallen in our nation over the time. And so, Adrienne, if you could just share with us a little bit about your beloved son, Kenneth, and his story, his career in the military, and that day he lost his life there in Haiti. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk about Ken's life. I've spoken several times over these 15 years since he died, and it was 2010. But it was about grief or about how to help our military and that kind of thing. And so I'm really excited to get to talk about him and brag on him a little bit. Yes. The fallen military have many parts to their legacy because they have family, you know, they have a life outside of their duty, but then they also have that sacred duty that they had taken an oath to uphold our Constitution. Ken was always interested in planes, and who could that be?
Just go right ahead.
Sorry, I silenced it. During high school and college, ROTC, he was on the rifle team. He was Eagle Scout, and he won awards and spent every summer, some in high school and all his summers in college, doing his basic training. Or he won a scholarship for gliders at the Air Force Academy one summer. And so when he was commissioned into the Air Force, his first place that he was posted was in Eglin Air Force Base, and that's in Florida. And he was an aviation maintenance officer, and then he did that for 3 years. He went to Saudi Arabia between the wars, and did some work there, and then he got a pilot slot 3 years later. And he chose helicopters. He always said that an airplane wants to fly, but a helicopter is harder. It wouldn't glide. And we're real proud to say that he was certified in both fixed wing and helicopter. He could fly propeller-driven aircraft and jets, and then the helicopters too. And so after he finished all his pilot training, he went to Minot Air Force Base. And during that time, he really had a pretty active role in the planning and deployment of aircraft during right after the Hurricane Katrina awfulness. And then he also participated in something that the Air Force calls Global Strike Command, and that is like a competition. And his helicopter won the best helicopter squadron for all of the different Air Force people that came and competed. And so we were real proud that he got to do that. And so while he was in Minot, he was chosen in an officer swap between the Marine Corps and the Air Force. And so he spent 2 years during that time at the New River 147 HMLA, but that's at Camp Lejeune. People would recognize that name. It's in North Carolina. And he also met his future wife, Peggy, during that time that he was in North Carolina. And they were deployed to Haiti while he was there. That was in 2004. And a lot of really bad things happened that year. Of course, all those years in Iraq and Afghanistan were horrible for our military. Yes. But in 2004, you might remember, that's when the beheadings around Fallujah were in the news so much. One of the things that we are really proud of that he is, it's not an accomplishment, but that he did while he was in Iraq is he was chosen to be the commander of the day. And we found out after his death that was very unusual, that the Marines don't usually let an Air Force person command them. And that very day, he went against the standing order, and it was one of those things where you just have to do what's right. Even, he just had to make a decision because his aircraft was very close to where 2 Marines were down and needed to be medevaced. And the orders were that you waited and let medevac helicopter come and get the wounded soldiers, or Marines, I should say. And he knew that the closest helicopter to come and get them was not very, very close, and that they would have to stop and get fuel. And he knew those men needed his help, and he made the decision to get to them in 10 minutes instead of like 45 or 50 minutes. And one of the men did die in his chopper, but the other one lived, and that's something that we're proud of him about. He had little children, and we are very proud of his children that were 3 and 1 when he died. And oh my goodness, I can't believe people are calling me.
Yeah, that's okay. You just keep talking.
Well, we are. After he left Minot, after he left the Marine Corps, he got married, and he went to Cheyenne, to an Air Force base there, and he was like chief of helicopter tactics or something like that. We've heard that they still do some of the things that he put into place. And his son Charlie, who's graduating from high school in just a few days, was born when they were in Cheyenne. Yeah. And then he had the opportunity to go to the Naval Postgraduate School for one of his master's degrees, and that was in security studies, like defense decisions and making plans and that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's what led him to U.S. Southern Command in Miami. He was Caribbean desk officer for 13 countries, small islands in the Caribbean. And he was in charge of policy and strategy. And that's why he was in Haiti the day of the 7.0 earthquake that took his life.
Right. So he was called there to do some planning with government officials, non-government people, and just to plan if there's anything going on in Haiti, how America could coordinate with them. And while he was there, tell us what happened.
Well, he was getting ready to go to a dinner that night after touring the city. That was going to be one of his new assignments, and that's when the earthquake happened, and he was at the Hotel Montana, and of course it collapsed like many buildings did during that time, and that's what took his life. He was missing for 27 days, but the rescue people were very, very diligent about finding people. And at first, they actually found people that were alive. But as the days went on, we knew that that might not be our case.
Adrienne, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your story, for your transparency, for sharing your precious son, Kenneth, with us, who is a true American hero, intelligent man, serving the nation, got out of harm's way, overseas. You told me that his helicopter had bullet holes in it, everything else, comes back to America, seems like he's out of harm's way, and is just going to be working with different countries and so on, goes there, and while he's in a hotel, an earthquake takes place that winds up taking his life in service to our nation. And so we thank God for your son, the example that he is to so many of us, and your ongoing service, Adrienne, you and Dennis, your husband, to our nation, to encouraging other Gold Star families. You're a bit further along than some in terms of that process, all the service that you give and that you do. You're strengthening this nation. I think I heard from you the other day, too, that it's your 57th wedding anniversary. If not, it's about that many years, and that one of his children will be graduating. So we thank God life wins. We thank God that you are a woman of faith, and that the faith and the Christian community has helped to sustain you. God bless you. Thank you again.
Thank
we'll be right
you.
back. Plenty more to come. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, we're going to go to Rome to hear from Joan. Joan, we would love for you to tell us that Memorial Day, how it's celebrated for Americans overseas, especially in Rome. And we have Joan Lewis with that beautiful report. Joan?
As an American living abroad, it's very easy to feel nostalgic about certain holidays celebrated in our country, patriotic ones, of course, like July 4th and Memorial Day, or even family occasions like Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. But Memorial Day, of course, is a very important day for millions in America, but it's very important for Americans who live here in Rome, because who live in Italy, because just south of Rome, Nettuno, near Anzio, on the Mediterranean, there's the World War II Sicily Rome American Cemetery. It's a peaceful, beautiful 77-acre site with the graves of 7,858 military dead, and just on beautiful manicured lawns under the shade of pine trees and other trees. Now, Italy, of course, you will remember, was a big player in World War II. Now, most of the dead died in 1943 at the liberation of Sicily and also of Salerno, and many died in 1944, the landings on the beachhead at Anzio and Nettuno. And every year there are special events right at this time of year out in Nettuno. I've attended those on a couple of occasions, and they're very touching and moving. As you kind of walk through the lawn, through the tombs, and see the beautiful crosses. Many have stars of David. It's very, very moving. This, by the way, is attended by U.S. military and diplomatic officials. And there is inside, there's a small chapel, and inside of that are the names of 3,095 missing in action. Now, a few years ago, I went to Nettuno with some friends, and Peter's a huge history buff, wanted to visit the town and the museum. And on the train out there, we met Derek Hall, a guy from Britain, an amazing man who had been a radio man in World War II. So this living history book became our guide to the city of Nettuno, to the museum, showing us equipment just like that he used, and explaining what life was like, and even how many times he risked his life. When the German would strafe with their bullets, they would strafe the cables and break the cables of communication, and he'd have to crawl out and fix those cables. But I close on that note except to say that today, think of all the men and women who still, with great love for their country, great patriotism, they go out and risk their lives to let us live in freedom. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Joan, for that great report. And yes, she's far away in Rome, and the impact that it has when you need to remember as a human being, because we're all connected to the human family, for the men and women who have died for the great sacrifices of our freedoms and our safety in our country, and to hear Adrienne's beautiful story about her beloved son. And when you go to a cemetery and you see all of the wreaths, there are wreaths across America, many veteran cemeteries as they have, it reminds you, you could see, we went to Arlington, and you know, there's thousands, but they all belong to a family. They all came from a family, and it's so, I mean, it so moves your heart as a human being, and you're so deeply grieved, and you think all these people have paid a great price with their lives, but all of their loved ones who are left behind also pay the great price.
I encourage you to honor our fallen veterans this Memorial Day. And Wreaths Across America is one great organization that will allow you to do just that, to honor our veterans, to honor those who pay the ultimate price, to honor the families. Go to the website, wreathsacrossamerica.org, wreathsacrossamerica.org, and it's just a wonderful organization, and you can be involved with that. Getting these wreaths, doing them all over the country. You can actually lay down the wreaths, scouting groups, other people help to do that. Veterans Day, I think they put all flags, and there's just things that you're doing on your own, but let's honor our veterans and those who pay the ultimate price this day. Be sure to join us on Wednesday when we have the CEO of Tan Books, Conor Gallagher, with us to speak with us about his new book, Well-Ordered Family. There's no greater love than this, that a man should lay down his life for his friends. Jesus Christ did that for our salvation. And tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands since the Civil War till now have laid down their lives for the United States of America, for our Constitution, for our freedoms. And we honor them all this day. And their families. We want to say that we are doing our best to remember you. You're an important part of this EWTN family. You're never alone, and you're always at home with Jim and with Joy. Bye now.